So good, so good, so good.
Spring styles are at Nordstrom Rack stores now, and they're up to 60% off. Stock up and save on Rag & Bone, Madewell, Vince, All Saints, and more of your favorites.
How did I not know Rack has Adidas?
Why do we rack? For the hottest deals. Just so many good brands.
Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
Welcome back to Fine Tuning It Through Taylor, your one-stop shop when it comes to animation news and commentary. I'm entertainment writer Jim Hill, and Mr. Taylor, whose writings on the industry you can regularly read over on The Wrap, and whose musings on the Mission Impossible movies you can still listen to on Light the Fuse, the official Mission Impossible podcast. He and I are recording this week's show on Monday, April 20th, 2026, which means what? CinemaCon is now officially in the rear view, right? They wrapped up there at Caesars, I want to say Thursday of last week, didn't they?
Yeah, Thursday. I think Disney was the last big panel. So yeah, now people are back. They've, gambled away all their money and also swooned away all of their energy watching, Avengers Doomsday footage. So they have to return to the real world. So yes.
There we go. Now, now speaking of getting to see cool footage, the rule of thumb typically is that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and exhibitors there last week got to see Forgotten Island 6 months ahead of when this DreamWorks animation film is currently scheduled to be released to theaters, and that's September 25th of this year. But Drew... this is why you listen to this podcast, folks. Drew got to see this. Did you actually go to the DreamWorks campus to see this?
I can't actually talk about where let's just say, Jim, maybe I went to Vegas for a few hours and came back. That's, maybe that's what happened.
Okay,
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, that's right. He stepped through a portal and was in Vegas. But again, you got to see this Joel Crawford and
Januel, yes.
Januel.
Yes, I did. I saw it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Mr. Taylor will be talking about how much he enjoyed Forgotten Island later on in today's show. But first, we need to talk about this past weekend's box office. And before we do that, we need to acknowledge our sponsor, which is UnlockMagic.com, the go-to place for some of the best deals on theme park tickets. And if a Disney or Universal trip is anywhere on your radar for 2026, Unlock Magic helps you lock in great ticket prices without the stress, all handled by people who really know the parks. So, if you're starting to think, okay, maybe this is the...
Before we move on, Jim, about the parks, did you see that when they rebuilt the Buzz Lightyear queue, that they raised the wall in between the Fast Pass line and the Gen Pop line?
God.
So that the people that paid for the line do not have to look upon the poor unwashed masses.
No, I didn't see that, but that sounds very consistent. That God, I am not a fan of the lightning lane world we live in now. But anyway, again, if you decide this is the year you're really going to go, head to unlockmagic.com to get the best ticket deals and make that future trip just a little more magical. And all right, so this past weekend at the box office, Super Mario Brothers Galaxy starting its third week in theaters, right? So 35 million worth of tickets sold in North America, an additional 48 million overseas. Worldwide box office of 747 million, so we're just shy of $750 million. And I'm sure you got the same thing from the folks at Universal over the weekend, Drew, about how they're crowing about, I guess, if you combine the box office of the two Mario movies to date, that's $2 billion, right?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, this one will make the billion for sure. It's well on its way. Yeah, this is pretty impressive. This showing, it's they knew what they were doing here.
This is, you want a cheeseburger? Here is an expertly prepared cheeseburger that hits in the right place at the market, and it just continues to dominate. And speaking of continuing to dominate, Project Hail Mary, fifth weekend in theaters, 20 million domestic, 21 overseas, combined worldwide of 41. And Cume worldwide is 573. So Christopher Miller and Peter Lord have to be happy. Again, I know we've talked about this previously, but kind of a vindication of what happened with Solo, A Star Wars Story. On the other hand, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, number 3 at the box office, 13.5 stateside, 20.5 overseas. Worldwide box office over its opening weekend, 34. Which, when you only spend $22 million on your horror film, you're on the glide path to turning a profit there, right? Did you get to see this one, Drew? Or
I did. I saw it. I saw it last week at the AMC Burbank 16. And yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know how much of a mummy movie it is, but it's more of a kind of demonic possession movie more than anything else.
I was about to say again. Look, I'm going to tell you folks right up front. I'm not good with movies, horror movies with little kids. So this one going in, and again, Drew is not wrong about how he described this film. It's an R for what? Gore and body horror and that sort of thing. But there's an audience for this.
Absolutely. And you're right. The kind of Blumhouse, Jason Wan model of an inexpensive production budget, smart marketing, and just sort of like whatever it makes, it'll still make a profit. And this is before you lock in streaming and PVOD and Blu-ray and all of the things that will also benefit it. I wonder, will we see it pop up at Halloween Horror Nights this year? There's a lot of things that can contribute to the Mummy's kind of lasting power. So 13.3 I think is a great debut, but it's definitely going to make its money back elsewhere for sure.
No, absolutely. And you mentioned PVOD and that sort of thing, which now we pivot to hoppers. And again, that's continuing to chug along at the box office. To date, stateside sold 161 million worth of tickets stateside, additional 206 overseas, so 357 million worldwide. And as it's been explained to me, Drew, it's going to start popping up on digital platforms in a few weeks. Whereas if you're like myself and Drew, a supporter of physical media, you're going to have to wait till early June to get your Blu-ray or DVD of this Daniel Chong film. And then on the other side of that's when this will finally pop up on Disney Plus. Late June, early July, because Disney's been very, very insistent about the whole 60-day window, right?
Yeah, I mean, we still don't have a date for Avatar: Fire and Ash on Disney Plus, and that's been on PVOD for a little while now, and I believe the Blu-ray comes out next month. So it's been really interesting. It used to be 30 days and it was on the platform. So I'm really happy that they've been taking their time, and it's been working out so far. I mean, I've heard that things like Predator Badlands and things like that, which really did take their time getting there, have really paid off in terms of viewership on the platform. So I it's working. Whatever their model is now, Jim, it's working.
No. That's it exactly. But what's fascinating to me, again, paying attention to what came out of CinemaCon just this past week. I mean, incipient Paramount CEO David Ellison stood on stage, and he committed to Paramount doing a 45-day window, whereas Steven Spielberg, who went to his very first CinemaCon to promote Disclosure Day, he praised Universal for committing to a 45 release date, but he actually stood on stage and who'd like to see a 60 or a 90 or 120 day? I mean, do you think that's realistic in today's business?
Well, the thing is that specific filmmakers and stars can get that. I think that Tom Cruise has 120 days in his contracts, actually.
Oh.
So, yeah, I think that enough filmmakers, if they get together, the Nolans, the Spielbergs of the world, that they can push it back. But the other thing is that I think that they need to be flexible in terms of when they go on PVOD, because I don't really think it does anybody any good to leave a movie in theaters that nobody is watching when that theater could perhaps be taken up by another film that either has more traction or is smaller and needs more exposure. So I really like the idea of just kind of like, figuring it out. But I think that the 45 days, minimum needs to be in place for, the future health of the industry. But that's just my take.
No, and do appreciate that. By the way, there is even more news coming out of CinemaCon, but Drew and I will get to that in a sec. But before that, there's this.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
And we're back. Okay, when I was out in L.A. last month, and of course the highlight was getting together with Drew at Bob's Big Boy in Toluca Lake. But
obviously,
when I was there, I also made my very first trip to the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures, which opened back in September of 2021, and really enjoyed my time exploring this 50,000 square feet of gallery space there on Wilshire Boulevard. And you and Katie were there just recently, and I think you mentioned when you were talking about your visit the Ponyo exhibit up on the second floor that opened on Valentine's Day of this year, and is, by the way, scheduled to run through January 10th of next year, folks, 2027. But it's this wonderful celebration of Hayao Miyazaki's hand-drawn film, which originally premiered back in July of 2008. And I bring that up on today's, fine-tuning, because if you want to see Ponyo back up on the big screen, this Hayao Miyazaki movie will be returning to stateside theaters in June as part of this year's Studio Ghibli Fest, which, of course, being presented by Fathom Entertainment. It starts, I want to say, Drew, on June 13th. Continues through the 17th of that month, and per always, when it comes to Fathom, you'll have the opportunity to pick between the dubbed version of Ponyo and subtitled screenings. By the way, if this is something you want to check out, folks, tickets for this screening of Ponyo go on sale middle of next month, on May 15th to be exact. And you want more details, head on over to ghiblifest.com. But as part of the 2026 edition of Ghibli Fest, we got Goro Miyazaki's feature film debut, or directorial debut, Tales of Earthsea. That's coming back to the big screen. We have Only Yesterday, yesterday, which is, I guess, going to be celebrating its 35th anniversary. Me, on the other hand, whenever I get the chance to see Castle in the Sky up on the big screen, I go. I do the dub version because I really enjoy Cloris Leachman's vocal work as the mom. She's great. And then, of course, they're going to finish out the series this year with Spirited Away, which is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year.
Good lineup. Good lineup this year. It is,
yeah. Now, did I hear correctly that a lot of these are going to be redone for IMAX?
I think there is an IMAX component to Ghibli Fest this year. But it's coming into theaters at the, crucible of the summer movie battle for IMAX screens. So we'll see. I mean, usually Ghibli Fest takes place on Tuesdays and Wednesdays or
That's
whatever.
It exactly. So they can slip in there ahead of the crucial for opening weekend box office Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yes, but I know that they are all being remastered and are in various states of being remastered in 4K presentations. I think Princess Mononoke was the first that screened earlier this year. Yeah. So this should be a very interesting look at sort of the future of the Ghibli catalog and see what formats these are going to be shown in. And I can't wait. Because these are, you rarely get to see Only Yesterday or Tales from Earthsea on the big screen.
No, that's it exactly. That's why I'm so grateful when Fathom does this. That they throw their might behind Ghibli Fest and get at least get these things out of the vault and back up on screens. And speaking of stories set in Japan, this past week, Warner Brothers Animation president Sam Register confirmed that a Scooby-Doo anime is officially in active development. Did you see this, Drew? The Go-Go Mystery Magic Show? Yeah,
I saw the little piece of art they released, which looked, it's just them and the Mystery Machine, but it looked cool.
I wanted to ask, I'm sure, first, did he, the dog looks like Nova. Am I not wrong? Just, that's what immediately caught my eye. It's like, hey, Nova.
That's very true. That is very true.
Okay, but again, it's a great piece of concept art. Kind of sells you on it. But the conceit of this is that Shaggy Rogers, and by the way, I had no idea that Shaggy had a last name, and I've been watching this show since Scooby-Doo first came on CBS as part of their Saturday morning lineup, September of '69. So somehow that got by me for the past, carried the 2, dropped the 4, 56 years, 57, yikes. But the conceit here is that evidently Shaggy and Scooby have gone to Japan on kind of a foodie thing, and they're traveling the countryside, and they accidentally unleash all of these mythical monsters, and so, but they have their friends Uncle Dao and Toshiro, who's a gadget whiz. I guess, what, Velma, and the rest of them, had trouble getting visas, but it looks cute, and it's coming out in 2027, so we'll keep an eye out for that. And also coming in 2027, is the sequel to Wonka. And I'm talking about the live-action film from 2023. Timothée Chalamet was, I want to say, written and directed by Paul King, and he confirmed in November of 2024 that I guess they had half a script written at that point, and everybody seemed happy with that, so they were looking to put that in production at some point in 2026, 2027. I haven't heard anything about that since And I bring that up
Yeah,
because
I don't think Warner Brothers they haven't said anything about a release date, or even if Paul King is coming back, because he has been involved in the Labubu movie, as we have heard before on the show, and is working on that Prince Charming project for Disney. So his dance card is very full at the moment. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, I just bring this up because this past week, on a parallel track, gotta be, is Charlie versus the Chocolate Factory. And this is an animated project. Taika Waititi is voicing Willy Wonka on this thing. And it's a different approach to the Roald Dahl story, right?
Yeah, it's sort of a sequel. Willy Wonka is imprisoned, I believe, in the beginning of this one, and Charlie is. It's a different Charlie. Yeah, it is not the Charlie from the actual Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And then they break into the factory, and it's set in modern day London, which is also very interesting. With animation from our friends at Sony Pictures Imageworks, which is very exciting. But I don't know. How do you feel about this one, Jim?
I enjoyed what Paul King did with Wonka. More to the point, I've got enough friends who work in themed entertainment that, they've been trying for years to get, a park to have a Wonka ride, and so anything that keeps this IP out there, in front of the public and keeps people excited about Willy Wonka, I'm a fan of, and I have to admit, I like the art, it's sort of a pensive kid looking down at the Wonka factory, and I do like kind of the conceit that Willy Wonka went away for the crime of turning a child into a blueberry, and it's like I don't know what the sentence guideline in that situation actually is, how long he went away, but that's an interesting idea.
I think this was one of the projects that started off as a show and then turned into a movie, and this is all stemming from the Netflix corporation buying the Roald Dahl library a few years ago, which has given us things like the Twits
I was about
and
to
the
say.
Wes Anderson Roald Dahl shorts. But so this is big time Roald Dahl stuff. So
Now, speaking of Sony Pictures Animation, and again pivoting back to CinemaCon, we got some new images from Beyond the Spider-Verse released, which again is still on track for a July 18th, 2027 release. What do we think of those images, Drew?
I mean, they're beautiful. Let's just hope that we can get this done, Jim. We need another movie very badly. And,
what Mr. Taylor is alluding to is, again, the first, the Into the Spider-Verse, the one that took home the Academy Award, that was released in December of 2018, and then we had to wait damn near 5 years before we got Across the Spider-Verse in June of 2023. And again, here we are, looking, ahead to next June. But also a lot of stories kind of leaking out around the sides about what it takes to get a Spider-Verse movie done. And it sounds like kind of a slog for the folks who actually make these movies.
I mean, I think the process is very intense, and they are always trying to one-up themselves. And they've even added a live-action cinematographer to this production who's sort of staging things with a virtual camera and all this stuff. But, I mean, those images were absolutely breathtaking. I'm sure it will be worth whatever growing pains were responsible, to get this done. But
okay.
I mean, they've got a big 2027 because they've got Buds at Christmas, which they finally confirmed that it's about talking plants, which I broke, whenever a year ago, and then they've got a mystery movie on the calendars for fall 2027 that they have not announced yet. So I don't know if that's that Bloodborne R-rated animated video game adaptation or what, but there's a third Sony movie coming out in 2027, so very curious to see what that is.
Well, again, they've definitely been on a hot streak. I mean, I love the stuff they do.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of 2027, we of course have Ice Age Boiling Point coming out February 5th of next year, and I just want to remind folks that the last time we got an Ice Age film, Collision Course, that was back in July of 2016. Mind you, that's released theatrically. We did also get the Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild. That was, January of 2022? And that, but that was on Disney Plus, right? And I've always been a little foggy on the details with this one because it's like, Blue Sky Studios officially closed April of 2021. Did we ever find out who really did Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild?
Yeah, Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild was done by Bartell Entertainment, a British studio. Okay. And I hate to tell you this, Jim, because if you saw Buck Wild, it wasn't that great. They're the ones doing the animation for this new one. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of which, the new one, we learned that we have an Ice Age sequel that was announced November of 2024 at D23 Brazil. We didn't learn the name of the film till August of last year and got a release date. But what's going to be kind of interesting is that, and again, I just wonder what Disney's going to do about this, because next March is the 25th anniversary of the launch of the Ice Age franchise, and it's just, I wonder if Disney's going to look to capitalize on that at all. I still think the first film, and that's Chris Wedge, right, who directed that one.
Yeah,
you know, that's still my favorite, though. Again, when you talk about the production process for that, and what got cut out, and more to the point, what got changed at the last minute. Dennis Leary to this day talks about the fact that they killed Diego. I mean, he was dead. He was months off of the film, but they called him back in just a couple of weeks before it was released at theater, and it's like, Diego's no longer dead. We need you to record like a couple of lines of dialogue. And since then, this is the 6th Ice Age movie, right? And
yeah, I mean, there was a time when it was the most successful animated franchise of all time.
Yeah.
The movie's kind of devolved into just a series of gags, so we'll see what happens with this one.
And but that's the thing. That still doesn't take away from the power and the real heart of the first one. So
yeah, absolutely. And I know you love seeing Ray Romano as a woolly mammoth going,
"Hey, it's me, Ray Romano. Oh, I'm in the Ice Age. Oh boy."
Well, but what's fascinating about that is, if you drill down into the stories about them working on Ice Age and how they talked about Steve Martin as the voice, they talked about Robert De Niro as the voice, and Ray Romano was down in the pile, wasn't anybody's first choice, but really turned out to be in the end the right voice for that character. And it just, I'm always fascinated by, when those stories come out about who they were shooting for, and then eventually it's like, all right, we'll take this guy. And but it worked out.
Yeah, and 100 movies later, and it's hard to think about De Niro still doing the voice of a woolly mammoth. Although we did see a trailer for Focker-in-Law.
I was about to say, so it's like, once upon a time, the Mr. Taxi Driver, Robert De Niro has to make rent too. Okay, just saying. So, all right. Now, what's kind of interesting folks at Disney really want this next Ice Age movie to work, because at least over on the Imagineering side, they have been wanting to bring the Ice Age characters into the parks since the Fox acquisition. That is just, whenever they do focus groups and lay these characters on the table, people, just get excited about, ooh, yes, I want to go on an Ice Age ride, or I want to see those characters walk through the park. And I don't know if we're hearing the same thing about Hexed. But I tell you what, folks, when we get back to this break, we'll talk a little bit more about that upcoming Disney film. And we're back. All right. So on this podcast, in the not-so-distant past, Drew and I talked about Fixed, Gennady Tartakovsky's film that was originally intended for theatrical and then kind of lost its home and eventually got released by Netflix in June of 2025, right?
Correct.
Correct. Kind of an adult, take on a talking animal film. And I bring that up because, Drew, as you were assembling stories for this week's show, you pointed to the trailer for Mating Season, which is the Animals Only Big Mouth spinoff.
Yeah, did you watch the trailer, Jim? It's pretty wild.
It is, but at the same time, it's also, and this was the thing over the course of Big Mouth, and they're one set in The Office, the earlier spinoff for the series. But the animation is amazing. I mean, it's just interesting to go. It's like, boy, it's got great animation. Don't let kids watch this, please. I'm begging you. But same thing. Mating Season is right in the same wheelhouse as Big Mouth. Great to look at, but if kids in the room, turn the sound down. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I saw footage of this at Annecy last year, and I thought it looked really funny and charming and outrageous. And yeah, it's got a great cast. Nick Kroll is back, of course, and yep. June Diane Raphael, Zach Woods. I think it's going to be really, really fun. And May 22nd, Jim, on Netflix. So
okay. Well,
get ready.
Okay. Now, of course, sometime after that, September 25th of this year, we will get Forgotten Island out in theaters, which again, through circumstances that we don't actually need to get into. Mr. Taylor got to see this DreamWorks animation film early, so but let's talk about it. You seem very, very impressed by Forgotten Island.
Yeah, I really loved it. I mean, I've always loved Joel and Januel's movies. They did Crude, A New Age, as well as Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And to see them doing an animated feature that is an original, that has nothing to do with any IP, but could produce some IP, Jim. I mean, I could see the epic universe land in my mind as I was watching this.
That's cool. All right.
Yeah. It's just so inventive and so full of heart, and I think that there were some sniffles going on in the Coliseum in Las Vegas by the time this thing was over. And yeah, animation is super pushed. There's some really beautiful work that was done art style wise, but more than that, I was really impressed with how mature the storytelling was. There's, I'd heard that this was kind of like a hard PG, whatever that means. Okay. And it's true. There's like the jokes are more mature. They're a little bit naughtier. This is clearly inspired by The Hangover and Superbad and things like that, but with two really charming, enjoyable female protagonists. And yeah, I mean, I'm careful with what to give away and what not to give away, because it is so far off from being released, and the cut was pretty unfinished. There was rough lighting. There was scenes that were just sort of stage passes. So no dialogue, no synced dialogue, no finished light renderings and things like that. So I'm just so excited to see it finished. But really lovely score, great music. The movie's set in the late 90s, so a lot of fun there. Yeah, no cell phones, Jim. You can't record your time on Forgotten Island on an iPhone, so that's nice.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it's really special. I think you're gonna really love it.
I have to say, I mean, literally this past week, I was killing time. I was looking, just sort of tootling around YouTube looking for a distraction, and wound up watching the sort of the penultimate battle scene in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, with all the characters scrambling all for the map, and then death shows up, and that is just such a beautifully staged. I mean, it's great action. It's got lots of heart. It's got and it just just on the basis of like that 10 minutes of film, whatever Mr. Crawford and Mr. Mercado do going forward, I'm there. I so enjoyed that. So to see the teaser trailer that's out there for Forgotten Island, and just the over-the-top look of this thing. I mean, it looks amazing, and that coupled with, and the conceit here is it's what a set of girlfriends, right? That they meet in like elementary school, and but they've kind of reached a parting of the ways, because that's what happens when you finish high school and go off to college. And
one is a little bit more of a screw up and is going to stay in the Philippines, and the other one is going to leave to go to Caltech in the United States. And so this is their last night. They've been looking for this island their entire childhoods, and a portal to the island shows up and leads to a very interesting choice, because they can either go and risk one of them not going into college, or they can stay. And then once they get there, it's really built around this ingenious conceit, because 12 hours has gone missing. They're in different clothes. They look completely different. And then now they've got to piece together both what happened in those 12 hours, because this is an island that has the ability to take your memories, and also figure out a way to get home. So it's this really fascinating thing where each character they meet has a version of the events that they missed. And it's really wonderful.
Well, no, that sounds great. Cannot wait to see this film. Now, what's kind of interesting is, again, this is September 25th that Forgotten Island arrives in theaters, whereas if we jump ahead 2 months to November 27th of this year, we have Hexed, which we got some information at CinemaCon this past week, and with kind of the big news that, well, when this project was first announced, what was that? Well, August of last year, in fact, at the Destination D event, or D23 event down in Florida. At that point, it was supposed to be, a teenage boy? And now when we see the art, it's a teenage girl, Billy Doe, right?
Yes. Well, yeah. And there's also been some behind-the-scenes changes, because Fawn Viras and Thorne, who directed Wish, has now taken over as one of the directors alongside Jason Hand, and original director Josie Trinidad is now a co-director. So, yeah, there's been some behind-the-scenes rejiggering as well. So, yeah, I mean, Haley Steinfeld is the voice of this new version of the character. Yeah. I don't know. How do you feel about it, Jim?
Well, look, I mean, historically, if we look back, for example, at Chicken Little, when we first learned of that project in 2001, it was a female protagonist. In fact, Holly Hunter was the voice. And in fact, what was kind of interesting is in that iteration of it, it was Sean Hayes who was doing the voice of the Ugly Duckling, but when a determination was made, like in 2023, that all right, that this this isn't working, or we need a different energy. And that's when Holly Hunter got replaced by Zach Braff, and that's when they brought in Joan Cusack to then be the voice of the Ugly Duckling. To in fact, pick two of the fastest talking people in the business, which, as I understand it, made life very interesting for the folks who had to match the lip movement. So this happens. You're working on a film, and sometimes the film itself tells you what it needs to be, but this will make November, right? That's what we're hearing.
Yeah. I mean, it'll make November. I had heard that there was some doubt about that at some point, but I never really am concerned because they always manage to do it. They're always photo finishes, Jim, but both studios are working on it in Burbank and Vancouver. There's such a thing as overtime, Jim, and I'm sure these poor animators will be. It'll be down to the wire, but they'll get it done. I'm really excited to see what it's all about, and
same thing here.
We're so close to it coming out, and don't know anything about it. Really,
no. In fact,
it's crazy.
Yeah, in fact, that's asking friends at the studio, to the effect of, so we're going to have a trailer in front of Toy Story 5, right? And it's like, it's,
we'll have 2 minutes of footage done for sure. Yeah.
Well, I guess what's intriguing about it is I was just sort of warned. It's like, it could be another, like the original Frozen trailer where, remember that was the scene between, Sven and Olaf that, had nothing to do with the film. Which is sort of like, we'll have something set in the world that'll give you a flavor. But as for stuff from the actual film, we'll see. Anyway, as we start to wrap up here, though, Drew, again, you're paneling and moderating this weekend, right, down in San Luis Obispo, or?
Absolutely, I'll be there for the San Luis Obispo Film Festival, the Slow Film Festival, as they call it. I've never been, so I'm so excited to go, and I will be moderating 2 panels, one with Britt Lauer and then another with Haley Joel Osment for their respective movies that are part of the film festival. And I'll be around all weekend trying to watch movies and hang out and see the town. And so if you see me, say hello. But yeah, that's what I'm doing this weekend, Jim.
Okay.
But yeah.
And if you're driving up to San Luis Obispo and need some entertainment in the car, want to remind folks about Light the Fuse, the official Mission Impossible podcast. Drew did that show with Charles Hood for years. So there are nearly 300 episodes in its archive, and each of them just has amazing behind-the-scenes stories with some ridiculously talented folks. And speaking of stories, just to remind you here, folks, you need to go pre-order your copy of Drew's next book, The Art of Wildwood. That won't hit store shelves till October 6th of this year, but it's going to celebrate Leica's next stop-motion masterpiece, which will arrive in theaters October 23rd of this year, and is being presented by our friends at Fathom Entertainment. And speaking of entertainment, we have some other podcasts here at Jim Hill Media that we hope you'll find entertaining, and these include Disney Dish with Lon Testa, the Epic Universal podcast. That's the one I do with Eric Hersey, who produces a lot of the shows here. Likewise, I Want That Too, the Disney Merch podcast that I do with Eric's lovely bride, Lauren, and our brand new show, The Case 4 with Chris Cox. And over on Patreon this month, we've got a show about the Disney castles in the works. Likewise, we've got a celebration of the 60th anniversary. It's a Small World coming in May, so be sure and check those out. Let's see, beyond that, I want to thank Eric Hersey and David Gray for the great job they do when it comes to editing and production of this podcast. And as we definitely head out the door here, quick favor to ask, if you'd head over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review not just this show, Fine Tuning, but also Light the Fuse. And again, you want to keep tabs on what Drew is up to. You probably want to follow him on social media. And how can they do that, Drew?
You can follow me on X and Instagram, basically at Drew Tailored, like a tailored shirt. And Jim, where can people find you?
I'm on X, and Instagram is Jim Hill Media, and then over on Facebook is Jim Hill Media News. And with that, folks, that's going to do it for this week. So on behalf of Mr. Taylor, thanks for listening to Fine Tuning, and we will be back soon.